Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the stuff we didn't get to during the course of the show today. Everybody's back safe and sound. We had tornadoes rolling through, and you'd probably seen some of the stories on the news where I think 29 people lost their lives across multiple states.
Really?
It was bad, and there are some places near here that got hit pretty bad. We talked a little bit about this on the show. If you've already heard the podcast, but Luke from For King and Country did a post about being there, hanging out and praying and being like, man, it's coming right for us kind of thing. And then he said it was so weird. We were watching the news like in real time and, hunkering down. And all of a sudden the news even goes, where'd it go? Like it just dissipated.
Oh, wow.
And it was like right near his house.
Wow.
Yeah. And I heard nothing. I had friends that were like, we stayed awake and we were hunkered down in our basement and stuff like that. And I'm like, really? I mean, all I have is a toilet closet to go into. So I figured I'm just going to stay in bed.
Oh my gosh.
I heard nothing. I was so tired.
I didn't either. I was at a friend's house and we were all together eating and playing games and stuff. And I was planning on, I was just going to stay at her place until it passed through.
Yeah.
But they kept postponing it. And then I was like, it's not going to show up till 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going home. So I go home. I went to sleep. I woke up once because I heard loud thunder and lightning.
Yeah.
I went back
to bed. Yeah.
I woke up and it was a pretty day.
Because storms used to scare you way more than it seems like they do now. Like you used to be kind of afraid of them.
I'm still aware of them.
Yeah.
I still watch the news. I was checking the weather apps and Twitter.
I check nothing. I kind of and I know we have tornado sirens near our house. Even when they go off, I don't believe them. I'm sus of them because I'm like, that's got to be for somebody else. And so I'll go
sus
outside.
Of everything.
I am. So I'll go outside and look because I like to see if it's coming. But Pastor Chad was in here earlier and we were talking about this. And for me, the anxiety that comes from watching the news constantly on it and worrying about if it's going to come here or not is worse than when I fell asleep. I was asleep and then I woke up the next morning and didn't know anything. That was a much better way to ride it out. Probably less safe, but in the end, it didn't hit anyway, so it was great. I got some sleep. So my new strategy will be to take the important things that I don't want lost and put them in a place in the house where I would normally go to so that hopefully I could find them, all my records of things and my accounts and my computer and photos.
I didn't do
that.
that. I did at least put some pillows and a blanket in my bathroom.
Did you?
Because I thought if something were to happen, I want to be prepared because I'll already be groggy as it is from being woken up.
Do you have a plan to grab the cat or are you just getting yourself in there?
It's every man for himself.
Beans, I love you, but I can't. I can't risk it, Beans.
Truth be told, he'll probably run away from me. So it's really up to him. I will be more than happy to take him in with me, but it's up to him if he wants to come.
That's a lot different than the last time that we actually had sirens go off near our house. And Haley was because my whole mindset was, I was like, well, I really don't think it's going to hit us over here.
Yeah.
And not based on anything, just sheer, pretty sure we're fine.
Do you guys remember Friday when we were talking about the weather coming in and Betty Rock goes, oh, it's going to be more west of us. We're fine. We're fine.
That's
and Gavin goes, I live west. Gavin was not even a concern for Betty.
No, I wasn't. But nothing hit in my area. We just had a ton of wind. But to think 1 or 2 years ago, literally we went into the bathroom. I literally brought a bed mat in there because I was I'm still trying to sleep here. And my wife and my dog, Ellie, were in the actual bathtub because Haley was like, oh, we got to be safe and we got to bring the dog in.
I did think about if you were to get trapped in there, sometimes I'll bring bottles of water in there because say you got trapped for a couple days at least, and Cheetos. So I'll try to grab a couple snacks too, maybe some
Smart.
Not fruit roll-ups, fruit snacks. So something to live on.
When I lived in Nebraska, Tornado Alley, we had little baskets that we always threw socks and underwear in, board games
because they knew you. They're he's gonna mess his pants.
And he was 15.
Probably younger than that. Well, no, probably older than that.
Your family just knew.
Yeah, those were the good old days. But we had basements. We got to go down to a little fort area. My dad would make it really fun, where we went down there and we had forts and
way
flashlights.
Less scary in a basement.
Oh yeah.
I have one time because we have just again the little toilet closet when my daughter still lived at home. She was younger, and there was the three of us crammed in there. And I mean, it's tiny. Yep. I mean, it's smaller than a closet, and we're in there. And this was one of of maybe a handful of times I've ever heard my wife swear.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know, right? You guys are shocked.
What?
But we had the cat in there, and I'd fought to get the cat in there. And my wife was trying to tell Haley something about the door and like get her to hurry and close it or something because I'd been fighting to get the cat in there. And Haley let the cat out. And it was the only time I've ever heard my wife, like literally, again, like a handful of times. And Haley still remembers it to this day. She's like, I remember what you said to me. Like we literally had a conversation with her in the 20s because my wife kind of blamed her or was mad at her for letting the cat out because she wasn't listening to her, and my wife was stressed at the time. And so but it's funny the things as kids that they hang on to.
That's what my parents were saying. They were like, you remember some of the most embarrassing moments of us as parents, but I don't remember the good stuff.
No. I mean, my daughter, the stuff she remembers. Oh, wow.
It's like, well, you shouldn't give us,
I know.
stories to tell.
Can't help it. Can't help it. All right, so starting April 1st, Twitter users are going to have to subscribe to get that blue check.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating because the blue check is what lets you know that it's a verified account and that you hope you're not being scammed and all that kind of stuff. And so these are the recent changes that Musk made as part of the CEO. And so now you have to pay for this, which is what's really interesting, though. Like, I was thinking, okay, if you have to pay for it, then at least they're still verifying it, like that you are a verified account and you're just paying for the right to have that. But then this is the problem, like following the revamp now, any user who pays a monthly subscription automatically gets a check regardless of the relevancy of the account because they were trying to cut down on spam accounts, misinformation, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, okay.
But now if you just sign up and you pay their fee.
So I could pay for the fee versus
pay for a blue
earning
check.
it
Yeah, exactly.
through followers.
Yeah,
Oh.
isn't that crazy? And it's just again, you're finding out. Oh, we weren't making any money off of Twitter. Like how do we make money off of them? And subscription services are where it's at, according to Elon Musk. What did he say? He said, I got to find it. Okay. Musk wrote that this is part of an attempt to count down on automated spam bots. And in a recent tweet, he said, paid account social media will be the only social media that matters. So that's his big thing. And so then you're like, who's going to follow that? Will Facebook follow? Will Instagram follow?
Yeah.
TikTok, if they survive, will they follow? Because there's still talk of TikTok being banned, which... If it does, then we lose James Chapesky from Canada.
Oh, don't even speak it into
I didn't mean to.
existence.
I'm sorry. I gotta pull that back.
We can't lose James.
No, we cannot lose James.
My heart couldn't handle it.
I know. So anyway, if you have Twitter, if you're on Twitter, be looking for that. This is funny. Gavin, did you ever get your passport?
Oh yeah, it was a couple weeks ago now.
Okay, so you did get
ago.
it.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't go to our Africa trip because he did his passport months in advance. And the State Department now is saying that they're committed to providing the best service possible for passport customers. What? Really? Are you really? I don't think so. Because in 2022, they had a record 22 million passports. And now they are braced to have even more than that. The State Department received 500,000 applications per week for passports. That is crazy because now people are traveling again. If you're going to travel out of the country, 10 to 13 weeks is routine. 7 to 9 weeks if you pay for expedited processing, and they charge you more for that. And they're like, yeah, this is going to be great. And so then I'm reading this article, and it's like tips for applying or renewing for passports. And it was all garbage because none of it's true. And so I'm like, there's absolutely no tips. You basically pay your money, you take your chances, and you're completely at the whim. You're at the whim of the government. Gavin constantly was trying to call and get information, totally at the whim. The other girl that we went with that didn't get hers, she called her representative.
I did try
in
that
in DC.
too.
Did you?
Yeah, I was just on hold forever.
Yeah.
So.
She got through, left him a message. They got back to her, and she's like, I'm doing a humanitarian thing with compassion. And somehow they worked it out. And she lived in DC, so there was a passport office where you could do a walk-in. The closest one for Gavin would have been Atlanta, which he would have even drove to, but they didn't give him that option. And she somehow made it happen, which is crazy. But to get a passport now, it's taking calling your representative. It's lunacy. So,
and in fairness,
heads
our
up if you're traveling.
turnaround wasn't it's like if you plan a trip a year out, then sure, we would have been
Fine,
okay.
who cares, right?
And it was semi-tight, but the timeline should have still
you were
worked.
over 2 months.
Yeah, the timeline should have worked.
That you put yours in for. Absolutely. And for expediting too. But anyway, just there is the lesson for you if you are planning on traveling out of the country. And also too, like a lot of times, this is something a lot of people don't know. Certain times if you're traveling to a country, your passport needs to not expire within 6 months. Like again, why even have the 6 months?
It's not
like,
if it's going to expire.
It's not good till the end. What does it matter?
Passport. If it
So you actually
What's
have
the
to
point?
look at it and make sure that you're traveling. You're not traveling within 6 months of your passport expiring, because that can hose you as well. So there you go. Lady Rock, what do you got?
Classic government.
Yeah, am I right?
Thanks, guys.
A TikTok mom is being labeled hysterical after she went into detail about an encounter she just had with a complete stranger in the parking lot of her local mall. Wally?
Yes.
Can you hit that audio for me?
I can definitely do that.
I'm literally shaking. I'm alone with my son, by myself, a woman, and a male approached me in a parking lot. I mean, he was probably 30 feet from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I turned around and I literally yelled at him. And I said, "Do not approach me. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot."
Wow.
Okay, that is kind of funny, though. She's very passionate. Like, he was 30 feet away from me when he said, "Excuse me, ma'am." Like, "Excuse me, ma'am, your car's on fire. Excuse me, ma'am.
Right.
Like, you have left something on the hood of your car."
Well, and that's exactly what people were talking about. So once she did that, she said that the man left. She was yelling at him, and she went on to keep saying, like, "Do not approach me. Do not approach me." Even when he was walking away, like, she was very loud. And she's actually learned this tip from a book she was reading on how to protect yourself as well as your kids. And so
It's sad that she feels like she has to do that in this world, because, I mean, golly, Pete, there's some broken, sad things that happen. And they do say, like, for women's self-defense, being very loud and authoritative.
yeah, to use,
is
she
important.
said, the book said, use your most authoritative tone of voice,
Yeah.
and then say, "Do not approach me." Because if you yell help or whatever, some people
Right.
might not even.
And that wasn't necessarily a help situation yet, but could it quickly turn into one? You don't
Exactly.
know.
Well, and you're like a lot of the trolls that are on Instagram
Thank
giving
you.
her a hard time. So many commenters said her reaction was a bit much, especially since she had no idea what he was going to say, what he
Right.
was even approaching her about. Some male commenters had fun with their comments, giving a few hypothetical situations where this type of reaction would have for sure been bad. So one guy said, "A lady did that to me once, so I didn't tell her about the gas hose hanging from her car." Or, "I was going to approach a woman in the parking lot, but decided not to, so she drove away with her baby on the roof."
Yeah.
So this mom later, she saw all the comments. She posted another video for the haters explaining further more details on the situation. She said that the man who tried to address her was, quote, "the sketchiest looking guy she had ever seen in her entire life."
And honestly, at the end of the day, they always tell women, go with your gut. Because, I mean, so what if you offend somebody?
Right.
If you felt that there was something off, trust your gut. And I do agree with that. I have a daughter, and I would tell my daughter the same thing. If something doesn't feel right, don't get caught up in, I'm got to be polite here or whatever. Go with your gut.
Right. And you have to be, and I think as women, you have to be more aware of your
Sadly.
surroundings. Like, I was at a gas station once, I mean, this was years ago, and there was a white van that pulled up to the other side of the pump that I was on, and the engine was running and nobody ever got out. And there were no windows in the van. It was just like in the driver's side window was tinted.
Oh, wow. That's
I
creepy.
didn't get out.
Oh, really?
I sat there in my car and I looked straight at where I would assume the driver was, looking straight at him.
Nice.
And made myself look like I'm waiting on him.
Nice.
And then eventually he drove off.
Wow.
And then I got out and pumped my gas.
That's amazing. I'm surprised you didn't just leave. But then you're like, oh, I don't want him to follow me.
Well, I'd already put the gas thing in my tank.
Yeah.
So it had just clicked off.
Oh, and you sat there that whole time.
I sat there and waited.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good for you.
but I would have rather done that than there was a podcast I was listening to where this girl was talking about
Crime
her.
podcast?
Yeah, for sure. So she was talking about her own personal situation where she had gone to the grocery store and she realized that as she was leaving, a car had followed her out at the same time and had followed her to her apartment.
Oh, wow.
And so she actually realized what was happening. She said, "But I was thinking to myself, the groceries are in the back seat and they're thawing out. I need to get them in the car. I'm probably overreacting." So she gets up her
No.
groceries She walks to her apartment. The guy gets out of the car, the one that followed her, and he goes to an apartment that is across the hall so he can see what door she's going into. But he just stands there at that other door and doesn't knock on the door, nothing. He's just looking at his phone. So she's like, that's suspicious too.
Yeah.
Well, she gets inside of her apartment, puts down her groceries, and she's living with her mom at the time. Her mom is in the back of the apartment. So she walks back there to say, hey, Mom, I'm back from the grocery store.
Yeah.
And as she's walking back into the living room, she passes her room, her bedroom, and she had kept a window open and saw the guy crawling into her bedroom. So she grabbed a bat and she was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And like started yelling at it. And he was like, oh, I thought my cat tried to crawl in here. And she was like, but her big lesson in that was, and this is something that I've tried to remember, is she's like, a lot of things could have taken place that were really bad, really wrong, because he could have gotten in there.
Sure.
She may not have seen him,
Right.
and then she could have been attacked later. But also she said, wouldn't it be so stupid and ridiculous to know that I ended up dead because I was worried about the groceries in the back seat?
I get that.
She said, you can always replace groceries. If
Right.
something doesn't feel right, go with your gut and take the hit. Like maybe you are overreacting, but you'd rather overreact than end up dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that was something I took with me. Like anytime I'm feeling like, oh, I'm probably overreacting, I probably shouldn't, because I'm worried about, I don't know, whatever it is.
Right.
It's like that can be replaced.
Like I've stopped to help women before with something, and I'm like super cautious about coming up. I'm like, hey, just so you know, like I'm a dad, a husband. I'll stay over here. Do you need help? Like, is there someone I can call? Is there like, do you need help changing the tire? I can do that for you if you want to, or if you got it, that's not a problem.
Right.
You know, like, so I've tried to be very, like, as least threatening as a 5'6" man could be.
That didn't stop you from approaching that one woman that got in the wreck and you
Well, that was an emergency
ran over.
situation.
Well, was it really
It was.
though?
I had to
And
save
she
her
didn't
life.
need any help,
Saved
and you
her-
ran
saved her
over,
life.
and she was like, "Sir, I'm fine.
No.
Don't approach me, sir.
She wasn't
Don't
fine.
approach me." And you're like, "Let me check your wrists."
I saved her life, and I will always believe that that's the true story. No, I feel it's weird because guys could get all offended, like, women don't trust us. Well, you know what? Guys do horrible things, and they have every right because of the one guy out of 1,000 or
Right.
10,000 that does something that's life and death for them. They have to be more cautious. And
Yeah.
like, I hate too that like, We've had to, though. We've trained kids to be afraid of guys, like, you know, and unfortunately, as guys, we've done that to ourselves, you know, like you might not be guilty of anything, but another dude was, and we pay for the sins of all those people, you know?
Right.
And so like for me, cause like I like if, you know, we're out somewhere or whatever and like kids are goofing around, like I do generally like kids, you know? And so like I'll kid around with them or make faces at them or whatever. But then you're like, oh man, are you being that creepy guy, you know? And so you have to be mindful of that. You can't just be kind anymore. That's what
Right.
is a problem.
Yeah, and too, like I know I've seen where in churches usually you don't see a man that's in the back with the kids helping
right.
out. You
Yeah.
know, when there should be. I know Gavin, you help with the one at your church, but you're married to
a church employee.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of like, that makes sense. I know I help out with the children's church at mine, and there has been a time where I saw a guy back there, but his wife was also helping
Sure.
back there as well.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's sad that we live in a world where you have to even think of those things,
Right.
but it's what we've come to because everything has been sexualized. You look at billboards, I mean, even commercials, like Hardee's commercials.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Like everything. And so it just doesn't help the situation.
Yeah. And the thing about Hardee's is you don't need that chick in the Daisy Dukes. Those onion rings sell themselves. All right. You got any birthdays for us, Lady Rock?
On that note, yes, I do. I have
Okay.
3 of them. We've got 2 that celebrated a birthday yesterday. Pete, Aaron, and Isaiah want to wish Julia a happy birthday. It's her 19th birthday, so she just turned 19. She's a freshman at University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. She has been listening to The Wally Show since middle school. She's an amazing young woman of faith. Elisha celebrated a birthday yesterday. It's my first birthday, and I'm celebrating without my dad. Oh, he died 3 months ago.
Oh,
but I will celebrate God's goodness to me, and I'm thankful for all my birthday memories with my dad. Well.
Oh, wow. That is hard. Man. Holy cow.
And then April wants to wish Isabel a happy birthday. She's celebrating today. She'll be 15 today. Happy birthday.
Well, there you go. A lot of great birthdays. Do we have a question?
Yes, we do.
Go for it.
Kim wants to know. No, Claire wants to know. What motivates you to work hard? What makes you motivated to work hard at your job?
Fear.
Yeah, good. Gavin, good. That's a great answer for
Totally
Gavin.
honest answer.
Wow.
Because whenever you get really comfortable, that's when you make mistakes. You got to have a little bit of that edge, a little bit of that fear of that health. Yeah, that healthy fear of if I mess up, I don't want to get in trouble for this, or I don't want to let the team down. I mean, that's more like that. Like no one literally gets in trouble, but when you feel like you let the team down, that's healthy. That's good. Good for you, Gavin. Because my work thing. Read me the exact question again. What is the thing that motivates you?
Motivates you to do what you do.
I think for me, it's myself and my work ethic. And like, I'll hear people that trained me in this job. I'll hear my dad in my head, constantly wanting, for me to constantly be working harder or trying to do something better or different than everybody else. And so I'm kind of my own motivator with other voices in my head. And also too, like kind of like Gavin's fear, I guess fear too is like, I want to keep creating so that I don't become irrelevant and then I lose this job that I love. So that's mine. Betty Rock?
What motivates me is Jesus.
Good answer. I was going to say Chick-fil-A for you.
No, sometimes it is. No, I think what motivates me is just I want to have purpose. I want to have a purpose that's bigger than me because I could go to any job. And while that's meant for some people, I want to do something really big. And so to me, this is what he's given me. And so I want to make him proud through this.
This is the best I got.
This is all I got.
I mean, you're working on the biggest show in Christian radio, so that's pretty great.
So, I mean, I just want, like I want to make my parents proud. I think it comes to like making those that I love proud of me.
Well, I'm proud of you.
I don't care.
Oh, it's why I love this job and why I love working with you, because you just say funny things that you don't mean.
Or do I?
All right. On that note, that's going to do it for your Aftercast. Thanks for being a potty.